Right, to get a better understanding of what portion of the overdue salary is the company paying, I'm now joined by Denel Dynamics CEO Sello Ntsihlele. Thank you very much, sir, for your time on eNCA. Now, tell us about this 45%. Is this 45% of the workers' salary for November alone, or for towards all the months that they have not been paid their salaries?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, the 45% is for the month of November only.
All right. So what happens to the court case and what you were told as Denel as a whole about having to back pay those employees who haven't gotten their salaries? Why is the decision only to pay them 45% for November?
Well, the payment of salaries is dependent on the cash flow of the business. And to the extent that we could only manage to allocate 45% to the workers, demonstrate our commitment to paying the workers. But there are other pressing needs of the business, which of course we have to try and take care of. And we unfortunately could only afford 45%.
And in future, what's still going to happen? What are you promising workers for future plans in terms of giving them their salaries?
Yeah, our view is that Denel still has a future. So the idea of doing everything else to pay employees' salaries to make sure that you take care of the goose that lays the golden egg, in this case, the workers. So the idea is that if we are able to maintain and sustain the business, we should be able to navigate these quite dangerous waters to the extent that at some stage we should be able to pay the full salaries. We still believe we will certainly be in a position to do that in the future.
We've got an internal communique from the mother company, Denel, as a whole, offering people voluntary severance packages. Does this affect Denel Dynamics as well?
Yes, I think it's for the whole of Denel.
And this is happening by the 15th of December, I believe. Can you confirm that? The offer is until the 15th.
I think that's what the communiques say. I stand to be corrected. I don't quite know the exact date, but the voluntary severance package has, of course, as the law requires, has to be given a date until when employees can apply for such a package.
Ntsihlele, have you been paid in the past couple of months as a Denel employee?
Well, as employees of Denel Dynamics, I get paid by Denel Dynamics. So if they don't get paid, I don't get paid. We have been paid. There's been a few months that we have been able to pay a certain percentage of salaries, varying on the collection, rather depending on the collections. But there are instances where, unfortunately, we have not been able to pay any salaries, including mine.
And how have you been able to survive then during those months when you couldn't receive a salary at all?
Well, it's been extremely difficult because it puts everybody else, the employees and their families. So it's been very difficult. We have had situations where employees had to try to resign in order to access their retirement fund, which is very unfortunate under the current circumstances. So it's been extremely devastating, one must say.
I just want to ask you something very quickly to go back to a point that you made earlier, Ntsihlele, about management believing that Denel can still survive and that Denel still has a future. Those were your words, right?
That's correct, ma'am.
How are you seeing this future after not being able to pay workers for several months, including yourselves? There's been a bailout that you've asked for now that you've received it. There's now severance packages that are on the table. There are salaries that still need to be backdated, and for the month of November, you're only paying workers 45% of their salaries. How do you see Denel surviving and having a future?
Well, the future of any business, and Denel Dynamics in particular is no exception, depends on the prospects that that business have. We believe Denel Dynamics have world-class products that are, even under the current circumstances, in constant demand by the client. And because we have world-class products. As a result of that, we believe that to the extent that we can be able to access the working capital, we will be able to execute the opportunities that we are currently pursuing. And of course, we also have the order book. Should those opportunities materialize, we think we should be able to present a bankable case to would-be lenders to give us the working capital to execute the business.
Do you think perhaps the severance packages that are on offer to employees, is that to shrink the number of staff? Was Denel operating on too many people?
Yeah, it depends on the section of the business. I think there are sections of the business, admittedly, that where the number of employees requires to be reduced. In some instances, and that perhaps applies to all the businesses, including ours, it will be the issue of the skills mix. Sometimes when you lose employees in areas where you can least afford to lose. The result is that you will still be retaining employees that in areas that are redundant. And the issue of having to rationalize the resources, that's when it comes into play. So we believe that there are indeed areas that requires reduction of resources.